Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of our Open Mic program, and we do have a special guest with us today, Todd Starnes, a longtime award-winning journalist, radio commentator. Daily radio presence has reached millions of listeners, and his syndicated column is also read by millions. And John, you are going to be the featured speaker coming up on Saturday, September 11th in Heber Springs. It's called Never Forget at Stars and Stripes Reagan Day Dinner. It's for 9/11, and they got a special program coming, which I think a lot of folks need to talk about. But first, thanks you for taking time and talking with us.
Well, it's an honor, and of course, we're just across the Mississippi River from you guys, and it's always fun to come across and visit with our listeners and our readers in Arkansas, and especially at such a wonderful event. And what a great theme. Never forget. I was speaking to some of my younger staff members, and it caught me by surprise because I realized many of them were just toddlers, and one of them wasn't even born yet when the 9/11 Muslim terrorist attacks happened. So I think that's a good reminder for us that we have to teach future generations about what happened on that terrible, awful day.
You know, and that's what's so neat about 9/11. They're doing this special day, and it's going to be on Saturday, which is September the 11th. 20-year anniversary, and that's one thing about this day is they've got tickets for $75, includes a dinner. But this is a historic day and a historic night in Heber Springs, and I'm really amazed. And I guess, John, you and I understand what happened, but many of the younger don't. So I'll kind of explain. They got 9/11 Pentagon survivor, retired Army Colonel Carla Donovan will present a commemorative plaque to World War II Navy seaman, Petty Officer, First Class John Riggs from Heber Springs. In 1943, at the age of 17, John joined the Navy and fought in the South Pacific during Pearl Harbor era. I mean, he was not there at Pearl Harbor, but he was in the Navy during it. His ship was not in Pearl Harbor, but he is the designated World War II veteran that always places a wreath on Pearl Harbor Day for Cleveland County. Is that amazing? You're seeing two times America that was attacked in Pearl Harbor on our own soil, and then 9/11. And these two history moments coming together, and you're the speaker. It's amazing, John.
Well, I think it's rather poignant when you step back and look at what happened just a few weeks ago in Afghanistan when 13 of our service members were blown up by Muslim terrorists. And the nation, quite frankly, is still in mourning as we come to terms with what happened over there. And again, it is a somber time as we gather, but also is a time to reaffirm who we are as American citizens. You know, one of the most beautiful things I heard was from just a few days ago when a group of school children in Success, Missouri, gathered together in their school cafeteria, and they set aside a table that had been designated in memory of the fallen service members, the Marines and the Navy corpsmen. And they had set up cafeteria trays, and almost as if it was a lunchtime period. And for their entire lunch period, those students ate their meal in silence in honor of those service members. And I think that really is reflective of who we are as an American people. And it's the same thing that we're going to experience at this incredible event as we remember not only what happened that day, but how we responded to what happened. I was in New York City on September the 12th as a reporter, a young reporter, covering the aftermath of 9/11 at Ground Zero. And, you know, it's just you never forget the smells. You never forget the sounds because things were still falling down, the shuffling of people walking through just the piles of ash and debris. You don't forget that, just the looks of weariness on people's faces. But yet there was also a determination. And, you know, again, defining moments. And we're going to talk a lot about this in my remarks at the 9/11 event. That epic moment when President Bush stood on the pile of rubble with the megaphone in his hand, speaking to the firefighters and construction workers. I would even say that moment when President Bush came to throw out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium And there was an incredible 30 for 30 ESPN documentary made about that moment and how the president threw a strike. It was a great moment, in baseball history, but it was a great moment for us as Americans because we were united in a way that we have not been since that time.
That is true. And, everybody can reflect if we go back to 9/11 that day, that morning when the first plane hit. I was at the radio station, came in, and I heard this. What? And I remember talking to our operation manager at the time. I said, people don't just crash into the World Trade Center. That just don't seem right. And at that moment, I thought it was a smaller plane. Then we found it was a commercial plane. I said, that don't sound right. Well, we were trying to get more news at that time. It was hard 20 years ago to get long-form news that easy. And then the second plane hit. And it's funny, I was just talking with the news director of the statewide Arkansas radio network, and he wasn't there. So many people don't remember what happened that day in Arkansas. And I remember calling down after that second plane. I literally picked up the phone and called ARN, and I said, we need to have ABC long form on the second channel now. And the young person was saying, well, Mr. Connell, I said, do this. Is the biggest day in your news career history. Do it now. He did. He didn't even ask for somebody's fish. And we went long form at that time all over the state, start picking it up. It was just shut down. I mean, it was like you said, it was a moment everybody knows that's over 50 remembers that like it was yesterday. And those really, that is 25 and above, might have some sense. But some 30 almost before they even know that much what was going on.
Right. And again, that's why I believe it is so vitally important for us to be able to share those stories. I think that American history classes should be covering this in every single class because this was really a defining moment for us as an American people. It was a defining moment for a generation where you had fathers and sons fighting the same war. I mean, we've been fighting a war for 20 years as a result of what the Muslim terrorists did to us on that day. And yet there's also a concerted effort in many public schools across America to rewrite the history of what happened, and we just cannot allow that to happen.
You also did a book that was Culture of Jihad, How to Stop the Left from Killing Our Nation.
Culture of Jihad, How to Stop the Left from Killing a Nation is a look at what's happening in our culture, American culture. I noticed many years ago I was watching a 60 Minutes documentary, and when the Islamic radicals would invade a country, for example, say, Afghanistan, they would immediately target the cultural centers of that country, and they would turn the statues, the monuments, the paintings, they would turn the history into piles of literal rubble. You might remember the famed Buddhist statues, the statues of Buddha that were destroyed. Well, I realized as I was watching this that the same thing was happening here in this country under the guise of political correctness. And we literally saw people tearing down monuments and statues and banning books like To Kill a Mockingbird and Little House on the Prairie. And so I wrote this book really as a warning to America that we were heading towards a very dangerous place where we would be ruled by the cancel culture mob instead of the U.S. Constitution. And here we are, and that's how I came up with the term culture jihad. It is a bloodless jihad, but it is a jihad nevertheless.
Well, it's going to be an incredible night. If someone's interested in being part of this history, we have someone from 9/11 survivor and a World War II survivor that was in the Navy, and they meet on stage. It's going to be a great opportunity for us it's a solemn night. It's a night for us to just remember those fallen veterans that has over the 20-year war, also from the World War II, and it's just something for us to really take back a little. They can call and get a ticket if you want to call 501-831-7062. We also have it on our website. It's the 9/11 Never Forget Stars and Stripes Reagan Day Dinner, and it'll be at the Fawn Hollow Event Center. That's on Gulf Road, Highway 25B, not far from the Gateway gas station. So it's just a little bit past or a little bit before you get to it on Highway 25. So I appreciate you, Todd, taking time and talking with us. It is something for us definitely to remember for sure.
Well, you're very kind, and it's going to be a wonderful dinner, and looking forward to meeting so many great folks, and we really appreciate the invitation.